everyone, welcome back to my channel. So it may be mid-February, but I disappeared for all of the end of the year, beginning of the year type of videos, and I don't do many of them, but I have a couple that I want to film for you guys. Is this still relevant at this point in the year? I'm gonna say yes, because I just wanted to film them. So this video is going to be all of the 2022 titles that I'm excited for, and I don't have that many just because I'm not as deep into the book community as I was a few years ago, and because I'm trying to exercise this thing called self-control. You may have heard of it. So basically these are the titles that I have either already pre-ordered, pre-ordered the second the pre-order was available, or they're ones that I'm planning on pre-ordering as we get closer to the release date. So this is not going to be a huge extensive list like I'm sure a lot of other people have, but basically these are going to be the authors that I tend to follow that I will always pre-order their books. So let's get started. So let's get the very obvious ones out of the way. Obviously I'm going to be reading Crescent City 2, House of Breath and Sky. Sky and Breath, still don't know. It's a something of something and something, which is pretty fitting for fantasy titles, but the second Crescent City book that comes out, by the time you guys are seeing this, potentially it's already out. I don't know when I'm gonna upload this, but it comes out next week. And it is not the Sarah J. Maas book that I would like to have come out this year, but I will take anything, as most mass trash does. So we're excited for that. That's a very obvious one. Duh. And we might as well lump in The War of Two Queens with that same category. To me, JLA and Sarah J. Maas are the same type of authors where I will always read their books on release day, and that's it. But I do have to say, I didn't read A Shadow in the Ember yet. A War of Two Queens is the next Blood and Ash book. I tried reading the Shadow in the Ember, which is the start of the prequel series, Nyktos' series, and I didn't like it, so now I'm nervous. I just want Poppy and Cass's story to just keep going. I don't need a prequel series yet, so as of right now, that's the one that I'm excited for. I'll get to the prequel series eventually. Alright, the next book, probably my #1 book of the year that I'm dying for, is Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is probably top of the list, will remain top of the list for the entire year. Has unthroned Sarah J. Maas. This is top of my anticipated list. So R.F. Kuang is the author of the Poppy War trilogy, which y'all know I am obsessed with, have loved it from day one. Babel is I believe it's a standalone, and it is a completely new thing. It is dark academia, it's set in Oxford. I believe there is slight fantasy vibes mixed in. I think there's some sort of magical realism, maybe? I don't know. But it's mostly focusing on, hold on, what is the actual tagline of the book? Because the book itself has a heck of a title. Okay, according to Goodreads, it is actually Babel, or The Necessity of Violence, an Arcane History of the Oxford Translators' Revolution. That's a mouthful and a half, am I right? But I basically know that is going to basically be dark academia with very woke vibes. I think it's going to be obviously historical. It's set in historical Oxford, but I have a feeling it's going to be a very educational glimpse into just racism, justice, student revolutions in historical Ivy Leagues, with a dash of magic mixed in, I think. I'm trying to go in pretty much as blind as possible. I say that, but I've already read the first chapter because it was available from a Tor sampler thing, something. I'm excited. I'm hoping that it's not going to be super, super pretentious, but I feel like R.F. Kuang manages to write very important dialogue and conversations about societal issues into her books without it feeling heavy-handed. So either way, it's dark academia, which you guys know is my shit, as spoken by this entire shelf over here, and it's R.F. Kuang. So my hopes are high. I'm excited. Okay, going back to my list, we're getting into the lower tiered stuff. Basically, I was going through all of my favorite authors or current favorite authors and just seeing if they had releases. So I always include a Kennedy Ryan book in these videos, and as far as I know, the only confirmed 2022 release is a novella of the Hollywood Renaissance series, The Close-Up, which is okay, it's fine. I would like a full-length novel. I don't know if we're getting, I think the second one is called Cord. It's #2 after Real. I'm not sure if that's coming out this year or not, and I also I want to say I saw her confirm that she signed on for a deal of like a duology or a trilogy that is completely new and different for her, but I went through yesterday while I was trying to make this list and I couldn't find any posts, but I feel like, am I crazy? Did she get a new deal? I don't know. Anything from Kennedy Ryan, whatever comes out in 2022. Consider it on this list. Okay, so next I have a book that I can technically include on this list even though it's already out and I already read it, and that is Running Wild by K.A. Tucker. The Simple Wild is still one of my favorite books of all time, and I love the follow-up, I love the novella. This is technically Wild number 3, but it follows a new romance. We are no longer following Calla and Jonah. So this, I've already read it. When I tell you guys, this is probably my favorite one of the series. I'm not exaggerating. I'm so excited to tell you guys about this book. This came out in January. I did already pre-order it, and I've already read it, and it was fantastic. Selling points number 1, Marie, who is our heroine in this book, is a veterinarian, and it is the most realistic glimpse into, like, small-town vet life that I've ever seen, and as somebody who works in the field, I appreciated the research that went into that. 2, the love interest is a musher, a dog sled guy. He like races in the Iditarod. Yeah, so it's heavily influenced by like animal care, animal husbandry, veterinary practices. Obviously there's a steamy romance that ensues, and also we get to see glimpses into all of the characters that we know and love. We get to see Jonah and Calla, we get to see all of them, but from a different perspective, which was refreshing. I loved this book. It's also a kind of later in life romance. Like, Marie is 37, I want to say, in this book, so we're following characters who are aged up slightly from The Simple Wild, which was also refreshing. As somebody who is in their 30s, it's nice to see that represented, so I love this book. So this technically is not a book that I'm anticipating because I already have it in my hands and I already read it, but I wanted to include it in this list because it's one that's been on this list since last year. Okay, moving into just authors that I fell in love with recently, whether they were like a debut author last year that I'm just obsessed with, or just ones that I discovered in recent time. Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood is coming out this year. This is her sophomore novel. This is the author of The Love Hypothesis, and she has this, and then she also has 3 novellas coming out that each follow a different trope, I want to say. Like, I feel like the titles are literally like One Bed, or, you know, but Love on the Brain and all of her novellas follow women in STEM, which is like the biggest selling point, I think, for everybody. So I, much like everybody in the world last year, read The Love Hypothesis last year and fell in love with it, fell in love with her writing. It was just so quick and easy and lovable. So this is her follow-up novel. It's a new story. I'm very excited to see if it holds up to the hype of the first book, you know? I'm also very excited for Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. This is a lesser known title, but this is the second book in her like Billionaires series, which is not my normal thing, but The Fine Print was book 1. This is the book that I was talking about last year though, where our hero in this book is basically inheriting like Disney World. I want to say the series is going to follow the 3 brothers who all are the grandsons of essentially a fictionalized Walt Disney, and when he passes away, he leaves like the empire and the inheritance to them, but they have to accomplish things. Book 1 was following Rowan, who had to fix something in the parks, and he found love in the meantime, and I loved it. So book 2 is Terms and Conditions, and I am ridiculously excited to follow whichever brother we follow next. I don't know yet. And while I'm on the kick of authors that I discovered last year, the entire Guild series, I think it's only a trilogy, which is going to be weird, but basically I discovered Tate James last year with her Madison Kate series and the Hades series, and the Guild, I'm including this whole series as my 2022 release. The Honey Trap is already out, which is the first book. The second one, Drop Dead, I think, comes out soonish. Tate James churns books out like a champ, so I can almost guarantee this entire series is going to be out, and I'm going to wait until the entire series is out until I pick it up, because if you guys have read Tate James, you know that she is the queen of cliffhanger endings, so you better wait for all of the books to be in your hands before you even start book 1. So I'm going to include all of the Guild as an anticipated release, just because I'm assuming all of the books will be out by the end of 2022. If not, we'll be close. There you go. And the last book that I want to include in this video is I Kiss Sarah Wheeler by Casey Mcquiston. This is her 3rd book, and so far, books 1 and 2 from her have been just top tier, superb superb contemporary romance slash fiction. I like to kind of consider her books not just strictly romance because I feel like there's a lot more to them than the romance, but that is the ultimate plot point. So Red, White, and Royal Blue, we all know. We all know her, we all love her. But One Last Stop last year, I was very nervous if it was going to live up to the amazingness that was her debut novel, and I think it was better. I think it was better written. I like the story of Red, White, and Royal Blue slightly more, but One Last Stop was pretty freaking good. So I Kiss Sarah Wheeler is her third book, and I have the highest hopes for it. It's gonna be incredible. I have no doubts. So as of right now, those are all of the titles that I have on this list. Like I said, it's a small list, but I also am 100% a mood reader, and that tends to dictate what direction I'm going and what authors I happen to be picking up. I feel like in recent time, like this past year, probably the year before that, I basically am just kind of picking an author and trying a bunch of their books, and if I fall in love with them, I will then include whatever their upcoming release will be in this list. But as of right now, those are like my go-to authors that I basically looked up to see if they had a 2022 release, and if they did, I included it in this list. So there you go. Obviously, Crescent City 2 and Babel are top of the list for the entire year. Everything else is just stuff that I'm very excited to pre-order and get my hands on. And that is going to be it for this video. If you guys have books that you're looking forward to, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure I forgot something crucial because every year when I film this video, I upload it and somebody comments a book where I'm just like, oh, yeah, that. Consider that included. And for some reason, I always do it. So let me know down in the comments what you were excited to read so that I can slap myself on the forehead and go, oh, I forgot to include that. Okay, thanks. I will see you guys in my next video.